On February 26th of 2011, Beyblade Metal Fight received one of the most infamous Beyblades in the history of the franchise. Twisted Tempo was a force to be reckoned with. With its perfectly circular wheel weighing more than even a whole Beyblade X combo, it was an iron wall that attacks could only glance off of. And now, in the year of our Lord 2025, it has returned to Beyblade X with a new form. But it seems like maybe, just maybe, a little too much has changed, for better, goodness, or worse. So, let's see if Clock Mirage can live up to its legacy, or if it's merely coasting by on borrowed time. My name's Takara, and welcome to the Clock Mirage unboxing. Let's begin. Clock Mirage 965 Ball is the newest UX-16 Beyblade in Beyblade X, as well as the very first release of Season 3 of the anime. Unlike the original Twisted Tempo, which was a very prominent defense type, Clock Mirage makes the switch over to being a stamina type, and Takara Tomy has ensured that it will spin for longer than the likes of Wizard Rod and Silver Wolf, but at a cost. More on that later. This Beyblade is owned by X's brother, Karasu 8. Bro kind of looks exactly like Exu if he shopped at Hot Topic and listened to Black Veil Brides on loop. This guy. I like his drip though, he's pretty cool. Clock Mirage is part of a random booster select where you can gamble between 3 different versions of it. But we can all rejoice, we don't need to gamble for any specific parts this time because all 3 of the combos have the same parts with the 965 Ratchet and the ball bits. All that's different are the colors. It's not like it matters too much anyway because the other parts aren't that valuable, so if you just want to have the blade, you only have to buy one of these. And I'm hoping Takara Tomy continues to do the random booster selects like this, but knowing them, that's a bit too much to ask for, so I'll enjoy this while I still have the time. Get it? Time? Clocks? Someone didn't really close this properly, huh? Okay. Unlike other random boosters, it's kind of impossible to tell which one you got if you don't look at the QR codes because all 3 of these have the same combo, so you can't feel them through the plastic. So let's see. 3, 2, 1. Pink and yellow Clock Mirage. Hey, this one's my personal favorite, the gray one. Anime accurate clock. And the Ratchet and Bit. Man, this thing really looks nothing like Twisted Tempo, oh my goodness. Anyways, we'll start with the most important parts. The Clock Mirage blade takes after Tempo and being a perfect circle in shape, but that's kind of where all the similarities end. This blade has 60 fine teeth on its perimeter, which I find really cute because it's supposed to reference how there's 60 minutes on a clock. These teeth don't jut out or anything, so they're really good at minimizing air resistance as well as reducing recoil to almost 0. This is especially good when combined with the fact that it's the widest blade to date, even wider than Wizard Rod and the CX line. Because of this, it has a very good amount of outward weight distribution and balance, which leads to amazing stamina. It also helps that this blade is about 37 grams in weight, so if I'm not mistaken, this is actually the heaviest stamina blade we've gotten so far. Unfortunately though, while it seems good so far, this blade also comes with a gigantic slew of issues, most obviously with how thin this metal is and how tall this plastic is. Having a gap like this isn't very good because opposing blades can just get underneath you and snipe your Ratchet, which leads to very easy bursts. You should be able to circumvent these issues by using shorter Ratchets and bits, but that's another issue in itself. Yep, Takara Tomy designed Clock Mirage in such a way that it can't use the normal ratchets. It has to use these simple one-piece ratchets with a simple locking mechanism, and they're purely inferior to normal ones. This is an abysmal nerf because Clock Mirage is pretty much barred from otherwise decent combos, and that's not good in the long run because its options are very limited. While we're on that note, let's talk about 965. Nothing too striking here. 965 is just 960 but without the normal locking mechanism. They both share the 9 subtle protrusions, but this one sits between the 60 and the 70 height. The problem with this Ratchet is that because of its locking mechanism, it removes all the burst resistance from your bits. Attack bits and balance bits usually come with this extra plastic on the shaft that is meant to stop your Ratchet from bursting, but on Clock Mirage, this feature becomes completely useless. Obviously, this is a balancing thing. As I said earlier, this blade has the best stamina in the game, so it had to come at a cost or else we would have had Wizard Rod 2.0, which is definitely not something we want. And lastly, Clock Mirage comes with Ball. And I mean, seriously, Takara Tomy? Ball is one of the best bits in the game, don't get me wrong, but it's also the oldest stamina bit so far, so getting it now is crazy work. I would have preferred to see something like maybe Free Ball or Glide or even Orb or something, but Ball works, I guess. If you somehow don't know what the ball bit is, it's just a round tip that has amazing stamina. Nothing else needs to be said about it. Fully assembled, and we have Clock Mirage, 965 Ball, and oh my god, I am really happy right now. Twisted Tempo is one of my favorite Beyblades ever since I love like time-themed things and gears and clocks, so having it in X is basically a dream come true. However, like, What the hell are these colors? Now I know that Clock Mirage isn't fully a Twisted Tempo homage, and you guys might not know this, but I believe that Clock Mirage is an amalgamation of all 4 of the bays from Team Starbreaker and the Metal Fight anime. Team Starbreaker is comprised of bays that are from what we call the Maximum series of bays, where they all have this sort of trait that's pushed to the absolute limits. Obviously, Twisted Tempo and Clock Mirage share the same motif and shape, but we also see that Clock Mirage takes the teal color from Flame Vixus as well as how tall it is and how thin it is. And then Hades Kerbex had the widest wheel in the game, which Clock Mirage also has in Beyblade X. And lastly, this might be a stretch, but Evil Befall's performance tip is said to have the best stamina in the game. Same goes for Ball and X. But this doesn't really excuse how ugly these colors are. Like, the top is fine, but we get down here and it's like, why is the bit this really gross greenish yellow? It's so disgusting, man. Like, what the heck? It's whatever. But while we're on the topic of colors, I might as well get these Recolors assembled, so give me a second. And there we go, fully assembled. And I'm sure all of us can tell that these Beyblades also reference Team Starbreaker. The pink and yellow one references Evil Befall, and very obviously the gray and blue one references the GOAT, Twisted Tempo. God, does this one look so clean. You already know I'm going to keep this one mint since it's just way too good to use. But yeah, let's finally put this thing to the test. Of course, test launch before I get started. Alright, let's go. So I'm doing Wizard Rod first because it's the most direct comparison people can make Clock Mirage to, and oh my god, it still has so much stamina compared to Rod here. It still has so much stamina, oh my goodness. Last wheel on level next. So Blast Wheel is very good with stamina because of the recoilless assist blade as well as the hour grip distribution. It is tall for a CX blade though, which is to Clock Mirage's favor. But yeah, we'll see here. Complete sleep out. Let's see what happens if I launch it again. Clock Mirage really does spin forever. I can't imagine this going well. This is like the most direct counter we have to Clock Mirage. Go first, pretty much it. Go too soon. Shark's scale is actually short enough to never hit the metal as long as they're level with each other. That's crazy. Clock Mirage still has so much spin. If it doesn't get a burst here, it's pretty much over. A knockout somehow? There you go. It's only got like maybe 8 hits or so. We got there. As long as Clock Mirage doesn't burst. Okay, well, it bursted. Now I'm gonna bother finishing the sentence. Cobalt Dragoon versus Clock Mirage. Up, Extreme Dash, land. So Cobalt Dragoon is the hard counter to all stamina types, but this Beyblade was advertised, Clock Mirage that is, to be able to defeat the Cobalt Dragoon on Elevate combo. Let's see if that's holding any water here. And I think it is. Oh my goodness. Clock still has so much stamina. I don't know, man. Yep. Spin Sling ain't helping you here. Okay. Dragoon may be able to equalize, but not enough. For the last battle, let's reenact Chapter 1 from Season 3's manga. Alright, let's do some finishing thoughts on Clock Mirage. This Beyblade is very, very simple in that all battles with it will pretty much only have two outcomes. Either it completely sleeps out the opponents, or it blows up on the first firm strike it receives. Like I said, that's for balance intentions because we saw how strong its stamina is, but the repercussions this Beyblade receives makes it very, very, very risky to use. You're pretty much gambling on either giving your opponents 2 free points or getting 1 point from a sleep out, which isn't really the most, equivalent exchange. You might be able to remedy this by changing the combo so that's much shorter with something like maybe 455 and under needle, but yeah, I don't think anything changes the fact that this Beyblade is very, very burst prone. Now we did see this Beyblade outspin freaking Wizard Rod and Cobalt Dragoon on Elevate, which is a pretty big deal. It's a very good counter to those Beyblades, but against literally anything else, you're pretty much just at a loss. Now, regarding the value of this pack in the Beyblade, if you want it, you can get it, but I wouldn't rate it very highly because the parts just aren't very valuable competitive-wise. But as for me, it's a clock Beyblade. Like, how can I not use it? I'm gonna try my best to make it work. We'll see what happens. But yeah. Alright, welcome back. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed. Now I do want to make special mention that I will be recording a competitive combo testing video for Clock Mirage, which I am very hyped for, so if you want to see that, then make sure to stay tuned. But yeah, that's all I got. So make sure to like the video if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, take it easy, take care, and stay chill.